Welcome to Wager Talk. I am Kelly Stewart, and today I am joined by Ralph Michaels and Marco D'Angelo. Guys, it is football season. I am so excited. I don't traditionally bet a lot of primetime, big-name games, but that's what everybody else wants to bet. So here we are. We're talking Washington getting 2.5 versus Auburn. Total is 48.5. This game is a neutral field, right, Ralph? I mean, it's still an SEC country, but do we have to give Auburn any credit here for being a home field advantage?
You know, to me, it's almost a home neutral. I mean, it really is, because number one, you're an SEC country in Atlanta, and number two, most importantly, you just played here against Georgia in the SEC championship. Oh, yeah, and by the way, that ended your national championship hopes, and it cost you a 2-game losing streak because that one loss to Georgia also led to the loss to UCF. I truly believe it's a clear situation where one loss cost you 2 because you were out of the title hunt. So to me, I give Auburn a full 2-point home edge in this. And, it's really just a matchup of the best SEC quarterback against maybe the best or second best secondary in the country.
Normally, I would kick it to Marco here, but now I have to ask because you just intrigued me. Do you think that there's any sort of SEC bias maybe built into this line, a Pac-12 team versus the team that, lost in the SEC championship game last year?
Oh, I think the home edge is built in. I think talent-wise, I actually have the teams pick them. So I think there's the 2.5-point edge is clearly, number one, SEC bettors betting early where the Pac-12 doesn't care. Number two, the home edge with being in the middle of SEC country.
Good stuff, Marco. So Washington returns 9 starters on defense. That was kind of a questionable thing I had here was what are we going to see from this defense here? I love Jake Browning. I think he's a great quarterback. I actually had Washington to go pretty far last year. Got upset here a couple times a little bit early. My futures bet didn't look so good. Talk to me about the Washington Huskies.
They're loaded. I mean, on both sides of the ball. And you talk about nine starters coming back on defense. This is a defense that last year held 9 opponents to 16 points or less. But you talk about the offense. You've got an offense that's bringing 8 back, including 4 on the offensive line. When you've got that cohesiveness to start the season, then throw in a 4th-year starter in Jake Browning, this team is going to be head and shoulders ahead of Auburn to start the season. Yes, Auburn brings back Stidham at quarterback, and he gave them instant offense last year, transferring over from Texas A&M. But his supporting cast is basically all gone, especially at the offensive line. They only bring back 1 offensive lineman, and he lost both of his running backs. So I think Auburn, even though they're a big program, and we talk about it all the time, Ralph, these teams don't rebuild, they just reload because they're blue chip programs.
Washington's new to that theme, but yes, over the last few years with Peterson, no question.
Yeah, but with Auburn, they're going to have blue chippers there. But the problem is when you've got to do it on the offensive line, that's where I don't care how good they are, it takes time for those guys to gel and get their assignments and everything down. I think Washington has an edge coming out of the gate. I like the points here with Washington.
I have to agree with Marco. Before we even started talking about this game, I didn't even look at it, and I go, wait, I'm going to get 2.5 with Washington before I looked at any matchups, any quarterbacks, any defensive returners. Oh, this is what
That's
I'm
my
waiting
disagreement side.
I know. This is what I'm waiting for because I know what Marco and I like, and I have a feeling Ralph is going to disagree with this
I'm
here.
going to throw out Stidham as a Heisman pick at 27-1, first of all.
Hey, you know you don't get a Heisman vote anymore, right?
I don't. That's the negatives of leaving North Coast, but WagerTalk's a much happier family.
There you
go. Here's the thing that concerns me with Washington. They were loaded last year. They were picked to win at the Pac-12. They were picked to go to the Pac-12. You look at what they did on the road. They barely got past Rutgers. They lose at Arizona State. They lose to Stanford on the road. Their only 2 road wins, besides the Rutgers game, was Colorado and a very crappy Oregon State team. You got to prove to me you can do something on the road before I can back you. I like Auburn. I'm going to take that defensive line, which is 2nd or 3rd in the country behind Clemson, and Stidham will get him enough offense.
Ralph reminding me of my bad bet from last season. Guys, get $25 in wager bucks automatically credited to your account after your first purchase at WagerTalk.